There's a quiet moment that happens in millions of American kitchens every single morning. A man over 60 pours himself a glass of something green, or roasts a tray of vegetables, or fills his plate with colorful produce, and he feels a small wave of pride. He's doing the right thing. He's eating clean. He believes with his whole heart that he's protecting his body for the years ahead. But what if some of those very foods, the ones sitting on your plate right now, are quietly making your kidneys work harder than they should? What if the slow rise in your creatinine isn't just getting older, but something on your fork that nobody ever warned you about? I'm Dr. Jassica Williams, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you something most people over 60 have never been told. There are 4 vegetables, 4 foods praised everywhere as healthy, that can quietly add stress to aging kidneys. And there are 4 others, simple and inexpensive, that may help your kidneys breathe easier and even support healthier creatinine levels naturally. By the time this video is over, you may realize that the food you reach for most often, the one you trust the most, might be the very one your kidneys have been silently struggling with. Because here's the truth that frightens me as a clinician. Kidneys rarely scream. They don't send sharp pain like a broken bone or a bad tooth. Instead, they whisper. They whisper through tired afternoons you blame on age. They whisper through puffy ankles you blame on sitting too long. They whisper through cramps in the night, a strange flutter in the chest, a thirst that never quite goes away. Most people brush these off. Few ever connect them to the kitchen. And by the time the whisper grows loud enough to notice, the filtering power inside those kidneys may already be slipping. So let's not wait for the shouting. Let's listen now. And the first food might shock you, because it's one of the most celebrated health foods of the last 20 years. People drink it. They brag about it. They believe it cleanses the blood and gives them energy that lasts all day. I'm talking about beets. Now hear me carefully, because I never want you to panic at the dinner table. A few slices of cooked beet on a salad is a very different thing from what most people are actually doing with beets today. The trouble usually doesn't start with a small portion. It starts when beets become concentrated. Beet juice, beet powder, those little beet shots sold at the health food store, daily beet smoothies. When you juice or powder a vegetable, you can pack the equivalent of far more beets into one glass than you would ever sit down and chew. And beets carry 2 things that aging kidneys can struggle with: potassium and oxalates. Let me explain why that matters after 60. Your kidneys are filters, and one of their jobs is keeping potassium in careful balance. When they're young and strong, they flush out the extra without you ever noticing. But when filtering power weakens, which is common with high blood pressure, diabetes, or a rising creatinine level, potassium can begin to creep upward in the blood. And too much potassium can disturb the rhythm of your heart. Oxalates are a separate concern. They're natural plant compounds, but in excess they can bind with calcium and form the crystals that become kidney stones. For someone whose kidneys are already under pressure, a daily glass of concentrated beet juice isn't a gentle tonic. It's extra work. I think of a gentleman, 68 years old, who came to me proud as could be. His blood pressure had been climbing. His creatinine had ticked up just slightly. He didn't want pills, he wanted something natural. So every single morning he drank a tall glass of fresh beet juice. He was convinced he was detoxing himself. But week after week he felt worse, not better. His legs cramped, his energy faded. And when we ran his labs, the numbers told a story he never expected. What works beautifully for a 25-year-old marathon runner with brand new kidneys is not always right for a 68-year-old body whose filters have slowed down. That's the part the internet never tells you. So do you have to swear off beets forever? No. If your doctor says they fit your diet, a small amount, cooked or roasted, is a world away from a daily juice habit. The lesson here is simple. Concentrated is not the same as fresh. And if you have kidney concerns, that beet shot may not be cleaning you out. It may just be giving your kidneys more to handle. But hold that thought, because the second food on this list hides in something even more familiar. Something you probably ate this week without a second thought. It's green. It's blended into smoothies. It's tossed into salads, folded into omelets, stirred into soups. People eat it because they're certain it's pure nutrition, packed with iron and vitamins and anti-aging power. I'm talking about spinach. And again, let me be fair to spinach, because for many healthy people, it's a wonderful food. But spinach has a quiet problem for aging kidneys, and it's the same two culprits we just met: potassium and oxalates. In fact, spinach is one of the highest oxalate foods most people eat regularly. A handful of fresh leaves on a plate is one thing, but that's almost never how spinach gets eaten in the world of wellness today. Picture the modern morning routine. One big handful of spinach into the blender, then another because more is better, right? Then a banana, a splash of almond milk, a scoop of green powder, maybe even some of that beet powder we just talked about. Blend it down, drink it fast, and feel virtuous all morning. But think about what just happened. You didn't eat one serving of spinach. You drank 4 or 5 servings at once, blended down, easy to swallow, all of that potassium and oxalate hitting your system in a single glass. To your eyes, it looks like health in a cup. To weakened kidneys, it can feel like a flood. This is why I tell my patients over 60 that healthy should never mean unlimited. A food can be genuinely nutritious and still be too much when it's eaten too often, in portions too large, or in a form too concentrated. Especially when you start stacking high potassium foods together. Spinach and banana and beet powder and a milk substitute all in one drink. Each one alone might be manageable. Together, they can quietly overwhelm a kidney that's already working at half speed. So what do? Don't let anyone make you afraid of every leaf of green. But if you've ever been told to watch your kidney numbers, your potassium, or if you have a history of calcium oxalate kidney stones, be honest with yourself about those daily green smoothies. Ask your doctor or a renal dietitian whether spinach should be limited in your case. The goal isn't fear, it's respect. The kind of respect your body has earned after all these decades. But if spinach surprised you, the third food is going to feel almost unbelievable, because it's been sitting in nearly every American pantry your entire life. You'll find it in soup, in sauce, on sandwiches, in nearly every healthy dinner that looks bright and clean and homemade. I'm talking about tomatoes. Now, a fresh tomato slice on your sandwich is rarely the issue for most people. The danger isn't the garden tomato. It's what happens when tomatoes are cooked down, reduced, canned, and concentrated. Tomato paste, thick pasta sauce, canned tomato soup, ketchup. When you concentrate a tomato, you concentrate the potassium right along with it. That little can of tomato paste carries a surprising punch. And many people over 60 use these products almost every day without ever thinking of them as anything but healthy cooking. I remember a retired fellow, careful about his health, genuinely trying. He'd given up the drive-thru. He'd given up soda. Every weekend he made a big homemade pasta sauce, simmered for hours with canned tomatoes and a couple of cans of paste, olive oil, fresh herbs. And honestly, who could fault him? He was cooking from scratch. He wasn't eating junk. But he started feeling weak. His heart would flutter now and then in a way that scared him. And when we checked his blood, his potassium was higher than it should have been. He was stunned because in his mind, he'd been doing everything right. And that's exactly the trap. After 60, the threat isn't always the food that looks unhealthy. Sometimes it's the wholesome-looking food, used too often, in a form that's far too concentrated. You don't need to throw away every tomato you own. This isn't about fear. It's about knowing the difference between fresh and concentrated. If your kidneys are being watched, you may need to ease back on the heavy red sauces, the daily ketchup, the canned soups. And there are wonderful ways to bring that same warmth and flavor without leaning so hard on tomato products, which I'll show you very soon. But first, the fourth food, and this one breaks a lot of hearts because it's pure comfort. It's home. It's warm and soft and shows up at Sunday dinner, at Thanksgiving, at every family gathering you can remember. I'm talking about potatoes. Potatoes aren't villains, but potatoes are naturally high in potassium, and when your kidneys aren't filtering the way they used to, that potassium becomes harder to clear. Now, a lot of folks tell me proudly, Dr. Williams, I don't eat fries anymore. I bake my potatoes. I'm being good. And baking certainly beats deep frying. But for the kidneys, the concern was never just the oil, it's the potassium. A single large baked potato can carry a hefty load. Sweet potatoes, too. And the real trouble starts when they pile up. Mashed potatoes, plus a scoop of sweet potato casserole, plus a few roasted potatoes on the side, all on one plate. Picture a grandmother at a holiday table, trying so hard to be careful. She skips the pie. She passes on the soda and the fried appetizers. But her plate holds mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole, and roasted potatoes. All homemade, all made with love. Later that evening, she feels heavy and weak, lightheaded, her heartbeat strange. At the hospital, her potassium has climbed too high. And here's what so many older adults never realize. Homemade doesn't always mean kidney safe, and natural doesn't always mean safe in large amounts. If you love potatoes, don't despair. With your doctor's blessing, there's an old trick that helps. Peel them, cut them into small thin pieces, soak them in water, pour that water away, then boil them in fresh water. This can leach out a meaningful amount of potassium compared to baking a whole potato. And portion matters enormously. A small serving is a different animal than a giant baked potato buried under toppings. And please, don't put 3 different potato dishes on the same plate if your numbers need watching. As the old saying goes, too much of a good thing is still too much. And nowhere is that truer than with your kidneys. Now, by this point, you might be feeling a little discouraged. You might be thinking, good grief, what's even left for me to eat? I understand that completely. Nobody wants the dinner table to become a place of fear. So let me turn this around because the good news is far bigger than the bad news. There are 4 simple, gentle, affordable foods that can take pressure off your kidneys and help support healthier creatinine levels. And they can stand in for the very foods we just talked about. This is the part that changes everything. The first is cauliflower. It's humble. Nobody brags about cauliflower at the grocery store, but for kidney-friendly eating, it may be one of the smartest things you can keep in your kitchen. It's far lower in potassium than potatoes and naturally low in sodium and phosphorus too, which makes it gentle on tired filters. And here's the magic. Cauliflower can replace mashed potatoes. Steam it until it's tender, mash it smooth, fold in a little olive oil, some garlic, black pepper, a squeeze of lemon. It comes out creamy and comforting, but without the heavy potassium load. That's what kidney-friendly eating should feel like. Not punishment, not bland sadness on a plate. Just a smarter version of a food you already love. Roast it, sauté it, drop it in soup. It soaks up flavor beautifully. One small swap, made over and over, is exactly how real health gets built. The second is red bell pepper. People treat it like decoration, a few pretty slices for color, but it deserves so much more respect. Red bell peppers are relatively low in potassium compared to the heavier vegetables, and they bring natural sweetness, vitamin C, and antioxidants. Their greatest gift, though, is this. They can replace tomato sauce. Remember our retired gentleman with his daily red sauce? Roasted red peppers can give you that same rich, sweet, deep flavor without all the concentrated potassium of tomato paste. Roast them until the edges char and soften, then blend them into a velvety sauce. Slice them raw into salads, sauté them with garlic, fold them into soups and stir-fries. They make food taste bright and alive. And that matters because a diet you hate won't last a week, but a swap that still tastes good can become a habit for life. The third is cabbage. It's plain, it's cheap, nobody calls it a superfood. But cabbage is one of those quiet workhorses that earns its place on your plate. It's naturally low in potassium, low in phosphorus, low in sodium, and it fills you up without burdening your kidneys the way potatoes or thick sauces do. Slice it thin and crunchy for a slaw, cook it soft for dinner, drop it in soup, or sauté it with garlic and onion and just a touch of olive oil. Like cauliflower, cabbage belongs to the cruciferous family, full of plant compounds that may help defend the body against oxidative stress, plus vitamin C and vitamin K. One honest note here. If you take a blood thinner, especially warfarin, talk to your doctor about keeping your vitamin K intake steady. Don't eat a mountain of cabbage one day and none the next. With medication and nutrition, consistency is everything. For someone who ate potatoes every single night, cabbage can quietly fill that space, warm, satisfying, something to chew, and surprisingly delicious with a little garlic. Which brings me to the fourth choice, and it's a small one with a mighty job: garlic. It's cheap, it's everywhere, it's probably in your kitchen right now. And for people over 60, garlic has one enormous advantage. It makes food taste wonderful without salt. That's a bigger deal than it sounds. Too much salt drives up blood pressure, and high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of slow kidney damage. When the pressure inside those tiny blood vessels in your kidneys stays high, day after day, it grinds down their ability to filter. So every time you trade salt for flavor and still enjoy your meal, you're protecting your heart and your kidneys at the same time. When you crush or chop fresh garlic, natural sulfur compounds wake up. That's the powerful aroma you smell. But the real everyday benefit is simple and human. Garlic makes healthy food taste good. So many people fail at kidney-friendly eating not because they don't care, but because the food tastes like cardboard and old habits come rushing back. Garlic fixes that. Use it in soups, in sautéed cabbage, in mashed cauliflower, in your roasted red pepper sauce, with fish or chicken or beans. Here's a tip. Crush or chop your garlic and let it rest about 10 minutes before cooking. Then add it over moderate heat, and don't let it scorch black or it turns bitter. And please remember, garlic is not medicine and not a substitute for your doctor. It's simply a tool to help you eat less salt without losing the joy of eating. So let's pull this whole picture together, because the message was never that vegetables are bad. The message is that after 60, your body may not handle every food the way it did at 30. Fresh tomatoes can be fine, but the pastes and thick sauces and ketchup used daily may bring too much potassium. Potatoes comfort us, but stacked up, they can overwhelm weak kidneys. Beets get celebrated, but in juice and powder form, they may be far too concentrated for a body with slowed filtration or a history of stones. And spinach, as nutritious as it is, can quietly flood the system when it's a daily blended smoothie. On the other side stand your allies: cauliflower in place of potatoes, roasted red pepper in place of heavy tomato sauce, cabbage to fill your plate gently, and garlic to keep your food delicious while you cut the salt. This was never about fear. It's about wisdom. Your kidneys have worked for you, faithfully, for decades. They've filtered your blood through tens of thousands of meals, through every stressful day, every time you skipped water, ate too much salt, or ignored a small warning. At this stage of life, they don't need perfection from you. They need attention. They need you to pause before a meal and ask one honest question. Is this food helping my kidneys carry less or making them work harder? That single question can reshape the way you eat. It might mean less red sauce, a smaller scoop of potatoes, skipping the daily beet juice, setting down the giant green smoothie, and reaching for cauliflower, peppers, cabbage, and garlic instead. These look like small choices, but health after 60 is built almost entirely from small choices, repeated faithfully, one meal at a time. Your kidneys may be silent, but silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. Every meal is a message you send to your body, and starting with your very next meal, you can send a brand new message. I'm finally taking better care of you. Before we finish, I want to gently remind you of something important. This video is for general education only. It's not meant to frighten you, and it does not replace the advice of your own doctor. If you have kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney stones, high potassium, or if you've ever been told to monitor your creatinine, your filtration rate, your potassium, phosphorus, or sodium, please talk with your doctor or a qualified renal dietitian before making big changes to your diet. Every body is different. A food that helps one person may need caution for another. Caring for your health doesn't mean following advice blindly. It means listening to your body, asking better questions, and getting professional guidance when you need it. If this helped you understand your kidneys a little better, I'd be grateful if you'd give it a like and share it with someone over 60 who needs to hear it. And consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. And remember this, friend. Getting older does not mean your body has stopped improving. It can still adapt. It can still recover. It can still respond beautifully to better choices. You don't have to change your whole life tonight. Just begin with one better meal, one gentler habit, one kinder decision for your kidneys, your heart, and the body that has carried you all this way. The choice is still yours. I'm Dr. Jassica Williams, wishing you a calm, healthy, and energetic day. Take a slow, deep breath and take good care of yourself.